One of the most important things for beginning, starting to get your feet wet with rock guitar soloing would be knowing your scales. Especially, probably the most friendly scale to start off with is the pentatonic scale. It's got less notes, and frankly, it sounds pretty cool when you play it. I'm playing that in the key of A minor. That's an A minor pentatonic scale. Sometimes it's easier to break it down into kind of simpler pieces that you can work with and still be pretty expressive in what you play. For example, maybe just playing with the first two strings of the guitar, the bottom two strings, the first string and the second string. I mean, you can start out with just playing those four notes, 1, 2, 3, 4, and see what you can create. In my opinion, the rhythm of what you play has a lot to do with how cool a lick sounds. So if I can kind of think of something in my head, like just some kind of rhythm, like for example, da 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 da. And then I try and play that on my strings in whatever order, whatever. I'll just work with those four notes, but I'll try to create da 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 da, with my notes. So maybe I'd go. Yeah, that's one example. Or let's say I chose totally different notes. I mean, I'm still going to use those four, but I'll do a different order. So what if I went? Yeah, that'd be another way to do it. So by using the pentatonic scale, you can actually create some really cool things. I'm going to just demonstrate an example of a cool lick that I like to play. I'm not even sure where I really got this lick, but it's probably a combination of various other things I've seen done in maybe Joe Satriani. He's a big influence of mine. But anyway, here's a lick that sounds pretty cool. So, I'll play that, or maybe some variation of that. Altogether it sounds like this. And you can play it in any key. Anyway, that's pretty cool lick. When you're starting out with your pentatonic scale, you might ask yourself, well, how can I really get fluent with this? How can I start really playing the scale? Well, one of the fundamental things you probably got to start with is being able to just play the scale at a certain, at different tempos and be proficient at moving through the notes smoothly. For example, if I had a tempo like this, 1, 2, 3, 4. Can I play those notes pretty smoothly at that tempo? If that feels kind of fast, if you're like, whoa, that's a little bit fast for me, you can bring it down to a little slower tempo to whatever feels comfortable for you, but you still want to challenge yourself a little bit. So, I don't know, let's say we did something like 1, 2, 3, and you might just need to start with chord notes, so maybe you go 1, 2, 3, and try playing one note per beat. And then once you feel comfortable with that, bump the speed up a little bit and challenge yourself to go a little bit faster. There's three great places to bend on this pentatonic scale that I'm playing. I'm playing the A minor pentatonic in 5th position, and the three great spots that I think are dynamite. One is the 3rd string, 7th fret. And one is the 8th fret on the B string, and the 8th fret also on the 1st string. Now, all three of those are really good places to bend. So while you're playing your scale, you can try and throw one or two of those in there, and see what it does for your guitar solo. Now, I'll just kind of demonstrate something here. So let me demonstrate a little bit of pull-offs in your guitar playing. The pull-off concept is pretty easy. You just play a high note, you play a note, and then you pull your finger off to a prepared lower note. And I say higher and lower in terms of pitches, right? Sometimes we get confused on the fretboard which way is higher and lower, but when I talk about higher, I'm talking about this side. When I'm talking about lower, I'm talking about that side. So I'll play this higher note, C. I'm going to pull it off to A, or on the 2nd string, G to E. 3rd string, D to C, and then maybe I'll end with my A note. So there's 3 pull-offs in a row that I could do. I'll just try and do them right in a row like this. One more time. And you can actually go back and forth on them for a while. Yeah, you can do pull-offs all day long. Makes for a really cool technique in what you're playing. The element of vibrato in playing lead guitar solos, I don't think you can overstate how important that is. It really makes everything sound a lot smoother. Like when a vocalist is singing and they, instead of just going la, they go la, and they're putting that vibrato in there. Same thing on guitar. If you just play this note, as opposed to, so it just sounds so much classier to hear that vibrato in there. Now the vibrato you usually want to do when you're on longer notes. So maybe I have a run of notes and I'll end on one for just a second or two, and that's when I usually put in the vibrato. So for example, maybe I'll start up higher and come down to a lower note, or maybe I'll go up to a note now. Yeah. So we got this pentatonic scale here in the 5th position, 5th to 8th fret. What about when we want to branch out outside that a little bit? A really cool way to get into that is just to look at one note that's higher on each string, higher than that pentatonic scale, and one note that's maybe down below that pentatonic scale, again on each string. So I'm going to take the first string as an example. I'll play the 5th and 8th fret, and then I'm going to slide up to fret 10 on that string, and that already gets me a little bit outside of that box. And then I'm going to come back down to C and A, that's 8th fret to 5th fret, and then slide down to fret 3. So now on one string I have 4 different notes that I can use for playing licks. 4 different notes that are on all on the same string. I like to kind of create an exercise for myself that I can use to an exercise to sort of practice knowing where those notes are on each of the strings. So on the first string, for example, my exercise might look something like this. There's a lot of sliding happening there, but I'm just playing the first 2 notes of my pentatonic scale on the first string, sliding up, sliding back down with the same finger, and then playing the lower note and then sliding down and right back to the original note. And the same thing goes for the second string. And then as you move through the different strings, there's going to be different frets. Here's a lick from the solo to Sweet Child of Mine, the Slash plays when he was with Guns N' Roses. And it's a really cool lick. Every time I heard it, I was like, man, I got to learn that lick because it's an awesome lick to play. Very kind of bluesy rock sounding. And it's not terribly long, but just like a really cool effect, and it's really especially cool when you repeat the lick. So I mean, in slow motion it's kind of like this.